Today, we're talking about Catherine of Aragon was born on December 16th, 1485, in the kingdoms of Castile and Aragon, into one of the most powerful ruling families of late medieval Europe. She was the youngest daughter of Ferdinand of Aragon and Isabella of Castile, the monarchs whose marriage united much of Spain and established a centralized Catholic monarchy. Catherine's education reflected her dynastic role. She was instructed in Latin and French, trained in theology and classical literature, and educated in court ceremony and governance. Contemporary accounts describe her as intellectually capable and deeply religious. Her upbringing followed established patterns for royal daughters, but it was rigorous and explicitly political. At the age of 3, Catherine was betrothed to Prince Arthur, the eldest son of Henry VII of England. The proposed marriage formed part of a broader diplomatic strategy aimed at securing England's position in Europe and strengthening an alliance against France. For the Tudor dynasty, still relatively new and contested, Spanish recognition carried significant weight. Catherine arrived in England in 1501 and married Arthur later that year at St. Paul's Cathedral. She was 15 years old. Arthur was also 15. The marriage was short. In April 1502, Arthur died, likely of sweating sickness. Catherine survived the illness. Arthur's death left Catherine in a prolonged state of uncertainty. She remained in England for several years as a widow, her status unresolved. And this is only the beginning. If you enjoy thoughtful history, stay with this channel and subscribe. Negotiations between England and Spain stalled over the unpaid portion of her dowry. During this period, Catherine's household was reduced, and her financial support was inconsistent. Letters from this time indicate material hardship and diplomatic tension. Attention eventually turned to Arthur's younger brother, Henry. Canon law prohibited marriage to a brother's widow unless the previous marriage had not been consummated. Catherine maintained consistently that her marriage to Arthur had not been consummated. On this basis, papal dispensation was granted. Henry VII died in April 1509. His son ascended the throne as Henry VIII. In June 1509, Henry married Catherine. She was 23 years old. He was 18. As queen consort, Catherine assumed a visible public role. She participated in court ceremony, maintained correspondence with foreign courts, and acted as an intermediary between England and Spain. Her education and linguistic ability allowed her to engage directly with diplomatic matters. In 1513, while Henry VIII campaigned in France, Catherine was appointed regent. During this period, Scotland invaded northern England. English forces defeated the Scots at the Battle of Flodden, where King James IV was killed. Catherine remained in England during the campaign and was involved in coordinating domestic governance. Despite political stability, the marriage was dominated by concerns over succession. Between 1510 and 1518, Catherine experienced multiple pregnancies. Most ended in miscarriage, stillbirth, or the death of the child shortly after birth. Only one child, Mary, born in 1516, survived infancy. In Tudor political culture, the absence of a male heir created uncertainty. Responsibility for reproductive outcomes was placed largely on the queen. Medical knowledge was limited, and infant mortality was common. But dynastic expectations remained unchanged. By the mid-1520s, Henry VIII sought to end the marriage. He argued that his union with Catherine violated biblical law, citing passages in Leviticus that prohibited marriage to a brother's widow. He claimed that the lack of a surviving male heir indicated divine judgment. Catherine rejected this argument. She continued to assert that her marriage to Arthur had not been consummated, and that her marriage to Henry was lawful. She maintained this position publicly and privately. Legal proceedings began in 1527 and continued for several years. Catherine appealed directly to the papacy. The case became politically complex due to Catherine's familial ties to the Holy Roman Emperor. Papal authority was constrained, and no definitive ruling was issued. In response, Henry VIII asserted royal authority over ecclesiastical matters. Between 1532 and 1534, Parliament passed a series of acts transferring religious authority from Rome to the English crown. Henry declared himself supreme head of the Church of England. His marriage to Catherine was declared invalid under the new legal framework. Catherine refused to accept the ruling. She continued to refer to herself as queen and declined to acknowledge the legitimacy of Henry's subsequent marriage. As a result, she was removed from court, separated from her daughter, and sent into enforced isolation. Catherine spent the final years of her life moving between a small number of residences, eventually settling at Kimbolton Castle. Her household was reduced, her correspondence monitored, and her contact with Mary restricted. Contemporary sources indicate that she remained committed to religious observance and maintained her claim to queenship. In December 1535, Catherine wrote a final letter to Henry VIII. The letter requested care for their daughter Mary and expressed concern for Henry's spiritual welfare. It did not concede her position. Catherine of Aragon died on January 7, 1536, at the age of 50. The cause of death is generally identified as cancer. She was buried at Peterborough Abbey without the ceremonial honors normally accorded to a queen. During her lifetime, Catherine established a reputation for piety and charity. Records indicate regular distribution of alms and support for religious institutions. Public sympathy for her position persisted after her removal from court. Her daughter Mary later ascended the throne in 1553, becoming England's first reigning queen regnant. Catherine did not live to see this outcome. Catherine of Aragon's historical significance lies not only in the dissolution of her marriage but in the political and legal precedents surrounding it. Her life illustrates the constraints of queenship, the intersection of dynastic politics and religious authority, and the limits placed on female power within early modern monarchy. She maintained her claims consistently until her death. Her legacy remains inseparable from the constitutional transformation of England in the 16th century. Thank you for watching. If you value history told carefully and accurately, consider staying with this channel and subscribing. The past deserves precision as much as curiosity.